the mayor to discuss protecting the reproductive rights of San Antonio women. And within that resolution, it stated, the city of San Antonio formally condemns any action intended to abrogate the fundamental liberties of its people and affirms its commitment to protecting the rights of its residents to make reproductive health decisions. And part of that resolution was to ensure, whether it was our legislative agenda or with future budgets, that we prioritize investing in San Antonio's health and particularly with its women. And I want to thank the Metro Health team, of course, for all that you do with the last presentation and the one that we got later on the agenda as well, but assuring to the residents of San Antonio for their commitment to San Antonio women. I want to thank the folks who gave public comment as well, all the nonprofit organizations who helped mobilize community to ensure that there was the $500,000 earmarked for access to care. And of course, today we're discussing an additional $100,000. So I'm extremely grateful for the community organizers doing the work, and then of course my council members, colleagues on this committee for ensuring that we continue to reconsider this item to ensure that we have further discussion. Of course, my sentiment has not changed from the last time that this briefing came to council. I'm fully supportive of the $100,000 in the case that we do not have applicants that are applying with access to abortion travel in particular. My expectation direction is that it stays within the Reproductive Justice Fund bucket to ensure that those resources are still accessible to folks despite how many applications we receive. And then this is more of a procurement point, and I made it during the last briefing. I think it's of utmost importance that we do not share any data related to individuals seeking access to care with these nonprofits. And that's my expectation. And I know there's HIPAA laws, so on and so forth, but I think it's important to emphasize that information and data won't be shared. But with that, this is an action item, and I'll hand it over to my colleagues for any thoughts, comments, or questions. Councilwoman Villagrán.
I want to make a motion to approve, and then I'll share my points. Second. Yeah, make a motion to approve to go to A session. So again, we're here again, and I know that I did this last time, and I will continue to do this. Common reproductive health concerns for women include endometriosis, polycystic ovary syndrome, uterine fibroids, gynecological cancers, examples, cervical cancer, ovarian cancer, uterine cancer, vaginal cancer, vulvar cancer, traumatic experiences with sexual violence and sexual transmitted diseases, STDs and STIs. Stress is a factor for women, mental and emotional depression, all related to their reproductive organs. And what we're asking for is the correct amount to address these issues. And we know that my belief is it needs to be downstream, which is why we've done it, that I trust in the providers we're putting it out to are going to weigh in and see what they can provide to this council. And that is going to be on their decisions. We know that council members have an ideal of what it should be used for, but at the end of the day, it's what you feel comfortable as an organization putting forward. And we supporting that to make sure that those of you that you are servicing feel protected and you feel safe in this process. So yes, we need this 100,000. We need to move it forward. I'm looking forward to seeing what programs they provide and what services they provide for us. And we need to make sure that we we understand this is using taxpayer money responsibly, because one, women pay taxes, and two, when we look at the poverty rate, 20% of San Antonians live in poverty. Of that 20%, over 50% are women. And the first thing they're going to say no to is their health care, which they shouldn't. So they rely on these organizations to help. And you're doing a very specific thing in terms of reproductive justice and what they do with their rights and their bodies. So I'm looking forward to moving this forward. I am looking forward to anytime we can spend more money on this issue, I want to. So thank you, Claude, again for bringing it. And again, I will be supporting it. And I'll have this conversation as many times as we need to. Thank you.
Councilwoman Dr. Kaur.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Chair, for agendizing the item today. I can't get over that there are so many people that think that they can say what women can do with their body. Individual self-determination is an inherent right that our country is founded upon. And until you have been in a situation where you don't have that access, you can't make a decision for what someone else should and should not be able to do, regardless of what faith you believe in. I can't help but think the level of privilege that folks have when they're speaking about whether or not this fund should be created. Very recently, I had a very close family member who went through a very traumatic experience, and her doctor was not able to give her the advice that she needed because of her getting care in this state. But knowing her situation and without divulging too much, she would have needed to, in a very short period of time, within several days, to get across the state to a place where she could actually get care. And we sat there and in that moment realized the level of privilege that we are in, because we knew she would have been able to do whatever it took to get that care. And the amount of women in our community that don't have that privilege and would have had to live with potentially a baby that no longer exists in their body for months until they can be terminated. And that is heartbreaking. And it's heartbreaking to me that we would not make a decision to support women in all of our communities at any point. There have been arguments that have been made that I, quite frankly, don't understand their relevance to. I remember last time we had this conversation, there was a argument made that we wouldn't pay for cancer treatment in Houston. And I don't understand how that is anywhere relevant to being able to access a fundamental healthcare need. We, every day at the city, deal with issues of lawsuits. Every day we defend our beloved officers who we honor, even yesterday, in situations where they are in. Every day we defend incidences that happen with the city. And if we can defend those, we can defend the women in our community that need this care. And so I absolutely wholeheartedly believe I was hoping this work would have come out in the first round. But I am so grateful to Councilwoman Cabello-Havrda. I'm not sure if she's still here, but so grateful to the Councilwoman for making this an effort to bring it up. I agree with Chair's remarks that it should, regardless of what happens, it should stay in the fund, because we were hoping it would be budgeted in the next, continuously budgeted for, and we're hopeful that this fund will be a permanent fund and not something that we have to advocate for as a modification every year. But the last thing I'll end with is I've been thinking a lot about why this is called the Reproductive Justice Fund and not fund. because reproductive justice truly means that you have the right to bodily autonomy without interference of government. And I think that is super important, that we give and make sure we protect all of the women, regardless of which zip code that they live in, and ensure that they get the access to health care that they deserve and were born with. And thank you all to the folks that came out and spoke. Thank you for those advocates. Thank you for my plaque that says San Antonio is a reproductive justice city. I love that. It's beautiful. Thank you, Chair.